Welcome to Ever After Experts, the podcast for couples planning their big day. I'm Carol Navis, your host, and today I am joined by Dan Wright, who is one of my fantastic team members at Cut Above Productions. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Carol.
Thank you for coming in.
That's no problem at all.
So tell me, I was trying to think, when did we meet and when did you start working with us?
So I knew Paul beforehand, and I also worked at the music school opposite, and I think I'd been chatting to Paul about my filming that I'd done previously. So, I was at art college many years ago, and one of the things I did a lot of was a lot of filming for one of my colleagues, a friend of mine. He liked to star in his own films. So we'd do lots of short film stuff. So that's where I'd started. I'd done some weddings and bits and bobs for sort of friends over the years. And yeah, I think Paul sort of said, if you fancy doing some more filming, you never know, we might be needing someone to do some wedding stuff. I think we probably met before because I used to live in the village.
I do remember meeting you in Groombridge, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, I think I did a couple of trial weddings just to see whether I was any cop. And clearly I scraped through.
You scraped through.
And that was 11 years ago, I think we realised now, which is...
It's a long time, isn't it?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Gosh.
Yeah, definitely.
Very long time. So you went to uni, you studied art and
fine
film?
art. Yeah.
Fine art.
Yeah, so I did fine art. It was a sort of combined, not a combined honours course, but it was sort of mixed media. It wasn't specifically painting or VR stuff, video. And so filmmaking was part of it as well. But I got more into it because of my friend who wrote a lot of films and went on to do a lot of editing and filming afterwards. Then when I left college, I set up a company with my sister's boyfriend at the time, selling property. Initially, it was going to be for the estate agents to be able to sell them. Well, it sort of moved more into housing developers. So if they were building a new development, and most of them were all based around London where we were based in Wandsworth, so it was all the time the development along the Thames, and so we would be doing helicopter shoots, lifestyle stuff for basically selling off spec. We'd go up in cranes and on building sites so people could see what view they were going to be getting, and then just combine it into a show reel with interactive DVD stuff at the time. So we were sort of pushing the technologies at the time. It was enabling us to do lots of filming. So essentially I headed up the film team and I would send people out, or I'd be doing it myself. You
do your animated drawing as well, don't you?
Yeah. So at the time I was doing 3D modelling stuff and combining the two. Mm-hmm. So I was building up my editing skills as well as, combining media thing. But I also loved music and always had done in bands and stuff. And then went to music school, started teaching, then managed the school, and then from there on in, again, still doing filming and various bits of animation work and graphics, and then came along to Cut Above.
And you found us.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, can blame Paul. He was the one that found me, I suppose.
Fault.
On that point, we were chatting.
So it's quite a transition, isn't it? So what did you think when you first started filming weddings?
It's quite daunting. I think it's a very specific skill. Having done a lot of corporate filming, there's a lot more time to set things up. Interviews, for instance, you've got control over a situation, so you can take your time, plan things out a lot better. Whereas with weddings, as I found out, and it probably took me about 3 years solid to get to the point where I was mostly comfortable and I thought I could cope with pretty much anything that came along. You can think on the fly or think ahead. I think most people who work in video photographers, you've got one eye on your lens and the other one's scanning around just to try and see what do I need to see next? Am I going to miss something? And you develop that sort of sixth sense and you sort of like run through. It was a sort of baptism of fire, I think. Even though I'd done a couple before, I didn't have the same responsibility of doing it for a company. And obviously having to then sit in with your style. That was obviously what we initially had to do, was I needed to be able to follow your style and your sort of creative vision for how you wanted to present films to the clients. And
I have to say now, I can't, when I'm looking at the footage on the edit, I can't tell our footage apart because we're so similar, which is great. And that's the whole point of it. So it's brilliant that you are so in line with my style. It's perfect.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? as you would always say to me, it's like sort of shoot to edit. You're building the film as you're going through. You've got a narrative in mind. It's always flexible because you never know what's going to happen, or they're going to say, "Oh, we're going to do this," or "We've planned this." Obviously, you tend to give us the shooting, orders and what's happening. And what's the word?
We plan as much as possible,
exactly,
don't we?
as much as you can. So you kind of know where the key events are. I mean, obviously, they tend to be relatively similar, but different locations have, obviously you might be running from one end of a, huge site to another in order to do, what in video is just, then cut to
Absolutely.
this place,
Absolutely. And I think you're right. It was a real baptism of fire, weddings. I mean, because there's so much to learn, and you really need to then, what you had to then learn was about weddings as well, because there's so much that happens in the day, and there's so much that's utterly crucial that we capture. There is an awful lot to take in. And as you say, 3 years of learning is about right, because
definitely.
it takes a long time to get to grips with it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. And like you say, everyone, most people have been to a few weddings by the time they've reached adulthood. So you can go, oh yeah, I know what's happening, but you really don't. No. You don't know what's going on in the background and what times are happening. And I'm not saying that I know everything, but you've got an idea about what's happening at a different part of the venue, or, room changeovers, how long they roughly take, whether to wait for something, because you could go and shoot a room. Yeah, brilliant, I've done it. Oh yeah, we haven't lit all the candles yet. And you're like, oh, next time I'll check. Are you lighting candles before you do it? And yes, you can do close-ups and things like that and then incorporate them later if, time's a bit tight. But it's, there's a lot that goes on, which I always say to couples, either in wedding fairs or even on the day, it's a sort of blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
Which, without selling it too much, that's a great thing about, photography and videography, probably more so, and certainly the way that we tend to shoot, is it's capturing those sort of more real worldy sort of things. You're not trying to portray something that actually isn't happening. You're just trying to capture everything that's happening. So it's such a condensed experience, but there's so much in it, that people will miss because they're either not there or they're off talking to somebody else. And go, oh, that's when Grandpa Joe arrived and they were chatting to them. Oh, that's nice. All those little things, children with bubbles, great one, running across fields, falling over. That in slow motion and doing it to the beat is great.
It's lovely.
In video.
But as you said, and I think that's what I always say to couples when I first meet them, there's a lot of the day that they will miss.
Yeah.
The groom doesn't ever see the bride actually arriving.
True.
The bride doesn't see the venue before the guests get there. The bride doesn't see, and sometimes even the groom doesn't see the ceremony rooms all set up. And they've spent so much time planning their wedding.
Yeah.
And our job, I feel, is to make sure they see everything.
Yes. Yeah, exactly that.
Which we do, because very often, obviously, we work as a pair, don't we? So, we know that we're capturing all the detail as well as capturing all the crucial parts.
Yeah.
And those moments that you don't expect. Yeah,
it's just like knowing where to place yourself as well. Like you say, we know when you're sort of shooting the same thing from different angles to capture different things. On typical example, I know, like cake cutting, for instance, one focusing on the couple, the sort of thing that everyone's going to see, but then it's the reactions.
Yeah.
And I know you love getting the reactions of people, because that's, they're seeing it to a certain extent, but it's just when you cut those two together, it just adds more than, say, a photograph. And saying nothing against, photography, but, it's dull compared to what we do.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But also I think there's a trend these days for wedding films to be very short. And I feel that's not us, because we're providing a fly on the wall, a documentary style film. But we really want to encapsulate that whole day into a 20-minute wedding highlight film.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, you can have the shorter version for socials, you can have reels for Instagram, but our job, is to create that memory that can be relived.
Yeah. And the thing is, you don't want to rush through something like that, because looking at something on, as you say, social media, the problem with that, and I deal a lot with, short films or those sort of things, is they are a bit throwaway. And I think the attitude of a lot of people is like, well, I won't put so much work into that. Oh, yeah, it's only 3 minutes, or it's only 30 seconds, or whatever it might be. And although initially it's got high impact, and we both know in order to get a 3-minute film from an entire day, you're culling a lot of really nice footage.
Exactly.
And you know, it sounds dramatic, but it pains me when I'm cutting something out that I go, oh, that's a really nice ring shot. Oh, that's a really nice shot of something like a bumblebee with the people moving around in the background. But this, you know, those sort of little things, or someone, you know, tripping up or laughing, you know, in the drinks reception, you know, when you've got people who haven't seen each other for a while, and, you know, you get a hug or people arriving, you know, you're cutting out all those things, which are, as you say, the things that make the wedding. I mean, the things that make weddings are family and friends and the whole experience that everybody's having for the day. It's about the couple, but if you're doing a 3-minute show reel or a 3-minute, you have to make it about the couple. So all the other things are just like left by the wayside. And, you know, I mean, on USB stick or whatever, however you have it, you can fast forward the bits sometimes. You don't have to watch the whole ceremony every time you watch it. I've spoken to couples who I've met after filming, you know, and they've said, oh yeah, we watch it on an anniversary, or we watched it sort of a few weeks after, and I never even saw that bit. And that's the whole thing. I mean, I think a word that a lot of people use, or some people use these days to try and get away from the, you know, the social side of it, is the cinematic, because then people think, oh yeah, I'll sit down and I'll watch something, it's experience, you know, we'll have a drink, get some popcorn in and re-watch it when, you know, little Terry was only 3 years old and running around, and, you know, look at him now.
And it's also, I think it's important for us to capture clips of all the guests, particularly the grandparents, and, you know, it's a real stamp of the whole family guest day. Yeah,
it's a moment in time.
Yeah,
and it's a sort of thing that people will talk about and they'll have memories, but sometimes, you know, people will forget those, and, you know, you can show, oh, remember, and they go, oh, and like you say, with a reception with all the guests, I mean, a lot of the time it's in a large room and there's lots of people in the background, things happening all around.
Yeah.
And, you know, just a small little thing, you're oh, that's them. And that's, I remember them, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And it just leads on to more memories that are triggered by everything else being caught. That, it's not staged, it's natural. And that's how people remember everyone else. I mean, I've seen photos of my parents. Obviously, I wasn't at their wedding because it was years before I was born. But I've got a frozen moment in time, and, you know, you can have group shots and things like that, and people standing there smiling.
Yeah.
And, you know, we always, I say not struggle, but it's when people are having group shots, for instance. We can roll our eyes at that one because purely for the reason that's not set up for videography. Obviously, it's photograph, but you still want to capture it. But then it's the interaction of people. It's, you know, when, oh, cousin Bob's not here, come on, and you get him running around you know, and he might dance his way in or whatever it might be, and you know, someone throwing away their Zimmer frame and people laughing or whatever it might be. You know, there's just that the sort of human aspect of it, you know, and you know, the daily life that's all part of it. And, you know, it could be anything bizarre like that triggers more memory, and it's evocative of the whole day and the experience, and then people can place it within their own timelines of their lives, you know, whoever they are, guest or you know, the couple themselves. And obviously you've got the thing of it's making sure, you know, not everybody's going to be around forever. And, you know, it's not a nice thing to think about, but you go, oh, that was a day, do you remember when? And, you know, going on from, it's a happy day and a happy memory, and you've got it there, how they stood, how they walked, how they talked to people, you know. So yeah, I think it's without getting too soppy or maudlin about it, you know, it's an important job we do.
It is. But also, I mean, we always say, don't we, it's a fun job, isn't it? We love what we do, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, of all the jobs I've ever done, it's an enjoyable experience. You're working with people that want to be there. They're excited about it. They're possibly a little bit nervous. You know, everybody's there for a good time, and you're there to make sure that it looks like they're enjoying themselves. You know, yes, if they're a bit emotional and stuff like that, you know, you want to capture that, the nerves. I love capturing a groom tapping his foot when he's waiting at the front and playing with his hands, and, you know, the little nervous hands, laughing with people playing. You know, those things are great. But I always feel, and it's strange, leaving a wedding at the end, there's none that I've never really wanted to go, oh, right, I'm done now. I mean, yeah, you might be tired. It's a long day, but you always kind of feel sort of part of it, part of the party, because, you know, you've spent the entire day with the couple. You've got to know them. You know, for me, I may have only met them on that day, but, you know, towards the end of it, and it's really nice when you get the messages at the end. You know, people go, oh, it's great working with you. Or whatever.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, they, you know, you do enjoy the experience, and if you didn't, why would you do it? I mean, yes, it's stressful, but once you get over that,
once you know what you're doing, and I think that's the thing, we know what we're doing, and there's no stress involved. We've got, you know, over the years we've changed cameras so many times, and I think we now have a brilliant kit, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, we've got great cameras, great lenses, we've got backup of everything.
Yeah.
So I don't worry. Whenever I go to a job, I'm a bit nervous. I think you always have to be a little bit nervous, but I know that we have the right tools to do a really, really good job.
Yes, and even if you are sort of like pushed a little bit and tested, I can't think of anywhere, you know, that we've had problems, like actual problems. You know, I mean, there are.
Touch wood.
Yeah, yeah, there are. You know, there are times you go, oh right, how am I going to get around that? But thinking on the fly, and then, like you say, you cover everything. The recording devices that we use now, brilliant. Just don't even have to think about it. It's a lot of it's second nature. So you then have that sort of mental capacity free, that should something come in, oh, we need to get from there to there. Right, okay, if I get this, then I'll, you know, run over there, mic them up or whatever it might be. Yeah. But to be fair, I'm even struggling to try and think of something now that's
gone wrong.
Yeah, that's, well, not so much gone wrong, but caused a problem where you get really anxious about it. Mainly it's angles. In churches, for instance, you know, with pillars and beams and
because that's where it is tricky, isn't
cantankerous
it?
vicars.
Because also we can only go where the vicar allows us to go, can't we?
Yeah.
So we are limited in church. And we have been, I don't know if you remember, we've been at a couple of churches, one I won't name, where he wouldn't let us film at the front at all. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. We've had it where we've not even been allowed to film in the church. Yeah. Full stop.
So that's why I always tell couples, if you are having your wedding in a church, do check with your vicar.
Yes.
Because we have been caught out a couple of times.
But that's also one of the things that obviously with the church wedding, because we turn up so much earlier.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, we're there before the verger opens.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
we're there banging on the door 2 hours before the ceremony.
But then you can then, you know, you can ingratiate yourself with them.
Exactly.
You know, do a little bit of smooth talking.
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, what a lovely church. Oh, this is amazing. Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, they're most of them, they're all human. Mostly, you know, you are able to generally sort of chat, but certainly because you never know what their experience are, and especially with churches, obviously they, you know, that is their domain, and you know they don't want things going off that are going to distract them or ruin the experience for the couple. And I can totally understand it from their side of it, and you never know who they've come up against before.
Exactly.
So it's the same thing as working with a new photographer. You let them know what you do. And one of the first things, I know we did it at the church one on Friday, it was, we don't move, you know, when we set it, you know, unless, you know, we will stay still. And, you know, we do, you know, unless we have to, because obviously, you know, Catholic churches, or depending on, you know, if they're moving between it, sometimes, you know, if the couple are moving, you have to adjust, but we're not running around causing a distraction. I mean, we want to capture the action, not be the action, you know.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's the balance, you know, our motto's always been, you know, we're very unobtrusive. And I think we manage that really well, don't we? We blend, we kind of blend into the background as much as possible, don't we?
Yeah, I do tend to talk a bit too much, I think. but no.
We do, don't we? I mean, a lot of couples afterwards will say, oh, I hardly noticed you. And I think, you know, it's almost in a way like you want to blend behind the guests.
Yes, just even in the way that I tend to dress. I mean, this is what I generally tend to weddings, so I'm not causing reflections, blend into the background as much as I can. I always, you know, when you introduce yourself to groom, obviously generally for me it will be, you know, you're chatting, you say, you know, I'll be buzzing around, you'll be annoyed at me by the end of the day, and I have a little bit of a joke, you know. Sometimes you can even offer advice if they're like not sure about something. Yeah. You know, not really our position, but I mean, obviously our experience of weddings far outweighs anybody else's, you know, in regards to the guests. So, you know, you are saying, oh, yeah, but what you'll probably want to do is do X, Y, and Z, you know. Although the worst one is help with putting on corsage. I still don't know how to do that.
I'm quite good at those now.
Yeah.
Buttonholes.
Buttonholes. Bow tie tying.
Yeah, bow tie, that's not in my remit.
No, and to be fair,
buttonholes I can do.
I preferred filming them trying and failing. Yeah. It's more amusing. Yeah, as they were saying, is this going in the... I went, oh, yeah.
No, it's putting couples at ease, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, that's... And I think because we go in there with a sort of open, light-hearted attitude, I think that shows, and we then, I feel, put our couples at ease.
Yeah, well, we come across, I think, as being relaxed because we know what we're doing, and that's it. That's why you want a professional doing something, is because they've got the experience, certainly of the day, even if you take them out of, venues that they use. And I mean, I don't know how many venues we filmed, but I mean, it's a lot. But even if you took, say, myself out of a venue that took me to a new venue, a place I've never been to before, I'd be asking more questions at first about where things were happening and things like that to the staff. But once you've got that, the day tends to follow a pattern. Yeah. You've obviously prepped beforehand and given me a sheet of everything that's happening, if there's anything unusual, how many people are doing speeches, if there are any readings, and so that, or anything extra, Yeah. I was going to say dancing waiters, singing waiters, or whatever it might be. Yeah, exactly. Where the sweet trolley is, important things.
Dan likes sweet trolley.
I try not to, but yeah, for pictures. It's great on
just
film.
For images, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if I can cut that.
What's the most unusual thing you've seen at a wedding?
I'd say it's the ring. When the ring bearers had wings or 4 legs. Yeah. That's pretty unusual. Yeah, I think we've had a dog.
Yes, we had quite a few dogs.
Yeah. Was it an owl? I think
that's right.
At Hever.
No, it was Penshurst Place.
Penshurst Place, sorry, yes. Yeah, of course it was. I can picture myself there now. And what was going through my mind at that one was, I think beforehand, someone had told me about, they'd done a similar thing with a bird of prey in a church. And rather than fly to the groom, who I think had the glove on, it then flew up into the rafters of the church and then sat there. Oh, no. With the ring.
Well, I have to say, I was terrified that bird had the rings in its little pouch.
Did it have the real ones or dummies? Because that's what I said, because other people said, you want to do dummies just in case.
It had the real ones in the pouch, and it flew from the back of it was in the courtyard, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Penshurst Place, and it flew from the back. I'm terrified of birds.
And it's coming straight towards you.
And I was absolutely just holding that camera rigid,
you were at the front,
because
weren't you?
my natural reaction was to duck, because it swooped in.
No, it was an owl. Hang on. Yeah.
It swooped in and luckily went straight to the...
it was well behaved, wasn't it? It was well behaved.
It was well behaved. It was amazing though, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, that was good.
And what tip would you give if a couple were thinking of choosing a videographer? What advice would you give them?
I think it's watch their films, see if the sort of package they deliver and the results of what you deliver is the sort of thing that you're looking for. Because I think people go into these things with a relatively strong idea about what it is that they want. You need someone that you can relax with, someone that you think is going to be competent. So obviously, you want to know that they've got, quite a back catalogue behind them, that they know the venue, well, they've certainly visited it before, ideal if they've filmed it, before multiple times. And, whether you like them. I mean, it's the same with a photographer. Everyone's got different styles. You want someone that you're going to get along with and you think is going to do a good job on the day. We tend to be pretty consistent with our results because we know what we're doing. We're using, the same cameras now for the last couple of years.
I think the thing is, it's a case of making sure that, looking at the videographer's experience.
Yes.
And look at their Google reviews.
Yeah.
You can see if they've got Facebook reviews and look at the consistency of their work on Instagram and checking that it's a solid team. And I think that's where we differ from many other videographers. It's us, it's yourself, Paul and me, and sometimes Rebecca. Mm-hmm. But we do not get freelancers in on the day.
No.
And I think quite a lot of companies do that. They will just hire in a freelancer on the day.
Yeah.
And we never, ever, ever do that.
No, well, I mean, if you think of the people that work for the company, they've all worked for it for a long time.
Exactly.
So, like you say, it's consistency. And it's working in a team as well.
And I certainly, obviously we do go out on our own as well.
And the results are consistent though,
Yeah.
because, like you say, if you can't tell the difference between the footage that each of us produces and we know what the final result is because, we've either both edited it or all of us had edited final films, we know what we're producing in the end. So you're writing it, as I said before, you're writing it as you go. And all of us do that. So therefore we know what the results are going to be, what, techniques are going to work, particularly where to put the cameras, what are going to be potential problems. And you just alleviate those as you go along. As soon as you walk into a venue, right, that's where they're going to be. So, okay, that's going to be a problem. So I'm going to shoot from that. I'm going to just move that side. I'm going to set up a camera this way. I'm going to be able to turn that one off and then move to this one next, and it's, I think if you're meeting somebody in a wedding fair, for instance, you chat to them. Yes, you can see their work. Obviously we put up videos and, there's also a fair gallery on the website that they can look at. So that, they know what they're going to experience and they know what they're going to, probably get. People like that idea that they can see themselves in that film. They put themselves in the starring role and like, oh, it's going to be great because this is what we're going to get. And like you say, if you're working with the same people all the time, then the results are consistent.
So how do you feel you capture a day, particularly the important moments, and still be unobtrusive?
It's having sort of like respect for the venue and the area in which you're moving, and also for the people that you're around. I mean, yes, to a certain extent you're part of the day, but you're not the focus of it. Be polite, have a bit of a laugh with people, but equally, you've got to know that you are there to do a job. Treat people how you would like to be treated, and the same with the venue. Not running around with huge steady cam rigs and getting right up in close to people. Get decent lenses that allow you to capture those shots from a bit further away. Let the photographer dictate the day, because that's pretty much their job, because they've got shots and they know where they want people to be. And we tend to, yes, ghost them to a certain extent, but we obviously have to be aware that we're making a film. So, like we said, with shooting the group shots, you're then doing cutaway shots that are going to make it interesting when they see, the people watching them. The cake shots, you need 2 shots at once, simultaneously, ideally. But yeah, it's and don't wear kiss me quick hats with big clappy hands on them or something like that. Just keep it little, and be presentable, smart. Everybody there is going to be smart. Everybody.
Yeah.
So you might not have to wear a suit. I used to. I don't wear a suit quite so much now. It gets too hot. You're running around. Elasticated trousers.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those lunging shots that you need to do. There's a lot of bending down and standing up and picking things up, whether it's from your bag, and you just need to be comfortable. Comfortable
be able
shoes.
to move.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Comfy shoes.
And
be worried about if you're in a soft-soled shoes if you're in a church. Because if you're moving up and down, squeaky ones, clap, clap. Well, those things echo.
It's just learning. The experience tells you what to wear, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and how to react with people, how to behave.
And any tips for couples as to any other good suppliers they should, or crucial supplier types that they should involve in their day?
Yes, get a Toastmaster. There is no better way of ensuring that your day is going to go smoothly than having somebody who is there purely as a liaison between you and every other supplier, everyone else, whether it's making sure your cufflinks are tight. And equally, the knowledge, they know how to tie buttonholes. I don't. They know how to, do ties. They will tell you where to go. It's somebody who you can see visually, for a start, with the red jackets. You can go up to and say, we were just wondering yes, I'll sort that out. Presents, it could be the smallest thing up to the largest thing. If you rely on a member of family who you think will be okay, it's not their job.
No.
It's not their job. They're there to enjoy themselves as well. And it's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. And also, they don't know the venue. They won't be able to check on food times, whether there can be a little bit of a delay, whether they can go to this part of the grounds. A lot of venues, I'd say, insist on it, but they really try and encourage it. And I would encourage anybody to do that, because it just takes any stress away from it, because you just tell them your issue, your problem, and they will solve it.
So what do you think is the biggest misconception about wedding films?
I think people, when they think of films, and certainly being filmed, it puts a lot of people on edge. They feel uncomfortable, like it's going to be staged, like there's going to be a lot of direction, and that they're going to somehow be expected to perform in front of the camera. Whereas it's pretty much the opposite. When they relax, which is obviously part of our job to introduce ourselves, maybe have a little bit of a, friendly chat beforehand, just putting them at ease and just letting them get on with it, whether that's a case of physically backing away, which I know I do, I will back away, let them get on with it. And then, you interact when you need to. I think then you get the natural performance that people do, because they then start interacting with the guests. If it's a prep situation with the bride or their best man or their bridesmaids, parents, etc., and then the day starts to take over and they just drop into the role that they were born to do.
Yeah.
They forget about that aspect of it, and I think what we've always said, and certainly I've said it in wedding fairs when you're talking to sort of potential couples that you might be filming to, after you've told me to, and rightly so, is that we're creating, I always call it a reportage. I don't even know whether that's something, but it's a sort of natural documentation of the day.
Yeah.
It's not a performance. It's not stiff. People come across well. I in fact, I can't even think of people that look wooden.
No, not in our films.
Yeah, not in our films.
No.
Everyone else is rubbish, but ours. No, I think...
Because it is. I think we deliberately want the natural footage, don't
Yeah.
we? We want the moments where they almost forget we're there.
Yes. I've always been relatively good at making friends and sort of chatting to people.
Yeah.
I will talk to anybody, as most people will testament to, but endlessly. But once you've done that, then they've got so much going on that they, like I say, they drop into that role quite naturally. And, every now and then you do get people that will say, oh, I don't want that angle, I don't want to be filmed doing this and that. But I mean,
it's rare though, isn't it?
It's very
And
rare.
to be honest, our cameras are so good, we don't really need to be that close either,
That's
do we?
it. I mean, the equipment that we use is tiny. The recorders, like the recording devices, are tiny. You put them on there, people forget. It's not like you're setting up large microphones. The cameras aren't vast. You're not having to move. Most of the time in tight situations, we're using monopods or, if it's Steadicam sort of stuff. But it's small. It's not causing problems.
No.
Rarely do I walk into doors with equipment.
No.
It does happen, but rarely, because you're trying to create a natural film.
Yeah.
And it's odd actually even asking about it, because it then makes you think, yeah, no, they just drop straight into it.
Yeah,
it's like
they
you're
do.
working with actors, that are professional. Oh, you've done that before. Yeah.
Well, like the couple on Friday, they were incredible, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were so natural and they didn't seem remotely phased by us filming them whatsoever, and particularly in the photo shoot. Got some absolutely beautiful footage of them, and it all looks so lovely and natural.
And it's all thanks
So
to us.
There we go.
So how would you say that we work with the photographers? Because we work with quite a few.
Yes. So more often than not, because we've been doing this a long time, we get recommended by a lot of photographers. So they will recommend us because they like the way we work. So that's easy. We know how each other works and we don't get it in each other's way. And it's just an easy, perfect day. For photographers that we don't know, we always respect them. And basically, for particularly the reception and the photo shoot, we let them just carry on, organise all the couple and the group shots how they would like to, and we just film alongside them, literally not getting in their way. So we just film the natural elements of what they're doing.
Yeah. Because I mean, exactly. It feels that like a photographer's job is scripted.
Yes.
Pretty much.
It's more scripted than us.
Yeah.
And our job is to make what they're doing look natural on film. So with the group shots, as you say, we would put in a few cutaway shots. We would just get the moments where they're not all necessarily looking at the camera. They might be having a little bit of a giggle or a little romantic moment between the couple where they feel the photographer's not looking, but we are. And it's those moments that we can capture, the quick moments, that's what makes a really beautiful wedding film. But we've worked with so many photographers over the years, and we just always try and respect them and give them their space. And we've had very few problems over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very important like you say, to give them their space, to work around them and in conjunction with them, because the last thing you want to do is to be ruining each other's shots.
No.
And jumping in. You hear some horror stories.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the actual wedding film itself, how would you describe the tone that you're trying to achieve?
So I base the tone of every film on the individual couple. So all couples are different. And some, it's when I meet them, when I chat to them on Zoom, when I meet them at wedding fairs, when I meet them in person, I try and get a gauge of what I feel they want their film to be. And in a way, it kind of unfolds on the day naturally. It could be a day full of lots of laughs and fun. It could be a super romantic day. It could be a really emotional day. So I will just set the tone to the film depending on them, and I'll tweak it to suit each couple. So which wedding stands out the most that we filmed over the years?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. I mean, it sounds like a formulaic answer, but they all stand out in their own way. So there's always something unique to every wedding. And, we've spoken about how, there's a certain formula, a certain path they go, but every single one is different, even at the same venue. There's always something that sort of like stands out. One that in particular that stands out, and I know for both of us, was the secret wedding back at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
Actually, just before, it was the last filming before
17th
lockdown.
of March or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was right on the cusp of it, wasn't it? And
at the Spa Hotel?
Yes. Yeah. So we'd gone through to a room where basically it was a secret proposal. And so they had a magician. The magician, the Toastmaster, and us were all discussing, and the photographer, we were discussing things beforehand. So we were in on it. Then they did it was supposed to be, I think it was a birthday party or something.
It was billed to the guests that it was a 50th birthday party.
So, I mean, there was about 40, 50 people there.
No, it was more than that.
Was it more?
Yeah, it was I'd say about 100.
It was in the Orangery, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it that?
Yeah.
So it goes to
Or
show,
80, maybe 80.
Even that feeling, it still felt
It
quite
felt intimate, didn't it? Maybe it was
Bizarre.
about 80, but yes, it was in I think what was the York Suite was where they had the birthday party laid out.
Yeah, and then, so then proposal with a magician. It was I think it was involved fire, didn't it? It
That's
sort of
right.
caught out, and boom, all of a sudden there was the ring. Proposal, which was nice. Everyone, claps and cheers and all that sort of thing. Oh, that's why you're having it filmed, etc., etc. And then the couple went off to get changed.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the premise was, and then they were going through to eat. So led them through to the orangery. The doors were closed, and they went, "Oh, if you'd just like to go in and sit down," opened the doors, and there are the couple at the front, standing there with the celebrant and everything laid out for a wedding. And it was like pin drop moment for the guests, certainly for the mother of the bride, I think.
Yeah.
And and then they got married
There and then, didn't
there
they?
and then, yeah. So that was memorable just for the whole thing, and also when it was. But that was I like the sense of obviously playfulness that they had, and a certain amount of bravery, I'd say, just to spring a wedding on people. Ta-da!
Yeah.
But memorable. Yeah, that was a good one. But like I say, pretty much every wedding has something memorable about it, whether it's the
Absolutely.
people you're working with, the couple, whether something happens, because everyone personalizes their own wedding anyway. I think that's why, we all do it and, carry on doing it, is because it's enjoyable. It's always new. It's always fresh. There's always something different happening. And, and obviously, you're meeting different people every time. But how about for you? What's the one that...
They're all memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, there are lovely aspects to every wedding. Some really lovely sentimental aspects, emotional. There's just so many reasons why they're all lovely. But the one that stands out the most, which unfortunately was just before you came to work for us.
Yeah, I know.
We had the absolute pleasure of filming Brian May's daughter's wedding.
God, did I
And
miss that.
they were the most adorable couple. And Brian May actually played as his daughter walked down the aisle. And it was just incredible. It was absolutely amazing. And it was just an amazing experience just to not only film a lovely wedding, but to film it with a rock legend there playing.
Yes.
Was absolutely incredible.
I think...
And I remember we were so nervous because obviously he recorded this piece. It was a new piece of music. So I think we had 5 cameras out that day. We just had to capture it from every angle. But that was amazing. But again, that they as a couple were just they were adorable, and it's an absolute pleasure to be there. It was a joy.
I mean, I remember you telling me about that one, the fact that when he's playing the music for them to go back down the aisle, nobody wanted to go because they just wanted to sit there and listen to Brian play. I can sympathise.
But yeah, that was incredible. That was an incredible day. And the funniest thing that day was in the evening, because they'd booked a band in the evening, and they were a group of lads. I think they were a sort of pub band. They were very, very good, but they hadn't told them that Brian May was going to be there until about 5 minutes before
no pressure.
They did the first dance, and the poor lads looked absolutely terrified that they had to play in front of Brian May.
Yes.
But it was all great. It was a lovely day.
Yeah, well, again, brilliant venue.
And we're lucky, aren't we? We work at some incredible venues, don't we?
Yeah, it's strange. It's weird when you go. I mean, again, you don't take it for granted. There's always a different view, something else to see. I mean, Heave always sort of jumps out for me, whether you're filming down at the loggia or up in the castle. Mostly for me, it's down in the loggia, I think, that I've done. And it's always just you get there nice and early, obviously to do all the intro filming and stuff like that, but also just to go and just take it in, because it's amazing, and sounds cheesy, but it's a privilege to be in those places and just be able to walk into there and feel like it's your own. This is my place of work
it's
today.
my office for the day.
Exactly. Well, exactly. And who gets to say that? To wander around there, and because obviously the nature of our business, and also the fact that we do it because we enjoy it, and if you didn't, you wouldn't do it for the stress. Would just end it. But you would. You're just always looking for something different. Oh, there's a nice angle. Oh, I know if I go around there, I might capture the ducks or a swan going across the lake and shooting. I mean, I've got a favourite one because there's a weeping willow that goes around.
I know exactly what you mean.
If it makes you smile, the shot that you get, you go, yeah.
You know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the main benefit. We're recommended at quite a lot of it. Hever Castle, Penshurst Place, Ashdown Park, Buxted Park, High Rock Spa Hotel, Hendel Manor, Wadhurst Castle, quite a lot of venues, but we know them all really well. So I really feel that we can get the absolute best out of it for the couple, because we know where all the great angles are.
Yeah.
We know how the lighting's going to change throughout the day, and that makes a real difference.
Yeah, but it's never the same. Even, I mean, just 2 of those that you've changed. I mean, Wadhurst has changed massively over the last few years, and it opens up other aspects of the fact that obviously they've got the barn that they've built.
Yeah.
And with High Rocks, obviously, have now got the outdoor ceremony area. And it's just all those different things that sort of like add to it. So it then gives it another level. Oh, we're going to be filming over there. So it always keeps it interesting for you that you're going to be finding different angles to shoot from, different sort of situations. And that, again, just it's another element that makes things slightly different and slightly unique.
Yeah.
And well, I said it before, it is a privilege to be able to treat these places for a day as your, place of work, and be able to run around with some, you get to meet some fantastic people. But you're always laughing at one point or, more throughout the day with the couple, with the guests. And it's a nice sort of community feel. Just keep it nice and light, and, and just if you see them getting a little bit nervous and stuff, if you can try and alleviate that.
Absolutely.
And I do it with verbal diarrhea.
It works.
Yeah, it does work. Yeah, you make yourself a bit of a victim of your own jokes, and that tends to.
Well, I think you're always cheerful. You always bring a smile to the day, and the couples. We always get couples telling us that they loved us being there.
Yeah, let's not work with Dan again.
Don't bring Dan again ever.
Whatever you do.
No, it's great fun. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Dan. It's been insightful.
Yeah.